Welcome out tonight, everybody. Like I said before, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. My name is DJ Baby Drew. I'm your head of entertainment. So that means you're going to get a lot more of this, especially in person on these calls. So welcome out tonight. So without further ado, I want to begin the call. So I want to announce the Freedom Pro Mindset and Momentum call tonight, featuring our CEO, Mr. Josh Feltz, and we have special guest, Dr. Joseph McClendon. Josh, take it away, brother.
Well, everyone, welcome out to this Mindset to Momentum call. Give it up for our Grammy Award-winning DJ Baby Drew. You know, it's amazing when you can show up and have a good time, especially before the party kicks off. So just put a yes in the chat box if you enjoyed yourself getting here early tonight and you're ready to step into your destiny. I got Dr. Joseph McLendon III here with us tonight, and I got some big news for all of you. Before we kick this call off in a big way, Dr. Joseph and I have made a major commitment to what we're doing here in the Freedom Pro community. And I want to make an announcement before we dive deep into this here tonight, that Dr. Joseph McLendon III and myself, we will be going live every single Monday night for the next 60 days going into the end of March. When we were talking, we said, you know what? Can you just begin to imagine what happens when people's world inside them becomes in alignment while also having the ability to create freedom in every other area of their life, from their health, from their wealth. And one of the biggest things that is needed is for our minds to be right. Everyone put a 1 in the chat box so you understand your mind is where the power comes from. And if your mind is set up and aligned properly, then you're in a place where you can actually function from what I like to call your superpowers. It's amazing, just like The Incredibles, how average people actually have a superpower, something inside of them that as soon as it begins to be unlocked, everything changes. So I hope you're ready tonight for not just some good information, for not just a good message, but information that's going to lead to transformation. All right. Dr. Joseph McClendon III, this is our first call back here in 2026. So I would love to hand it over to you here tonight. We have our Freedom Pro community from all across the world that is joining us, that's excited. And if you haven't heard this man speak before, you're missing out. But the good news is you're not missing out any longer. You're tapped in, you're plugged in, and it's time to turn the power on. Everyone welcome my dear brother, amazing friend, Dr. Joseph McClendon III.
Well, thank you so much, my friend. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Well, a couple things. First off, this DJ Baby Drew, killing it, man, killing it. This is the first time I've ever done any Zoom call that started off with a DJ like that, and I'm missing that already. So first off, for everybody, if I know you, hello again. And if I don't, I'll tell you a little bit about myself here in just a moment. But for now, I want to congratulate you for being here because either, I think it was either Josh or DJ Baby Drew said it, that you got a ton of different places that you could be, but you wound up being here tonight. And just the fact that you're here, there are 101 of you here right now. Well, guess what? There's thousands of others that could have been on this call as well, and they didn't. And I'm going to make sure that what you know, what Josh was saying as we're coming up, what you're going to know is that one thing right there, just showing up, is, in my opinion, 50% of the game won. Because here's how things are. Everybody wants more. You showed up here because you want more. Around here, we call it being wealthy. And wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. Type of 1, if you can get behind and get with that agreement or that understanding of what wealthy is. Healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And here's the great part about it. Never in the history of mankind has it been the way that it is right now. There's never been more, let's just say, turmoil on one side, but there's also never been more opportunity on the other side. And in history, those of us, this is the saying that I like to say, those of us that dare to dream while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, we're not only going to create the abundance that we want for ourselves and the wealth that we want for ourselves, but we're also going to be shining examples for others to follow as well. And the great part about that is the world is hungry for that right now. Type a 1 if you agree with me on that. And stay with me, interact with me, because what Josh and I are going to be doing with you every single Monday is helping you get that mind right so that you can take advantage of what's going on right now. Because there's never been more opportunity. But I'll tell you what, I was watching the numbers here, and I was hearing Baby Drew say it, and I heard Josh say it, and I'm saying it to you right now. That all of you, everybody here, we had an opportunity sitting right in front of us. And most of you didn't take advantage of you. Some of it did. And I'm not throwing you under the bus. I just want you to be aware that nothing gets by us here because we want to make sure that you cross the finish line. And that is this, that some of you did not reach out to your people to have them be on this call. You were instructed, you were told, you were asked several times to get on the phone and call people up. Now, again, I'm not throwing shade on you. I just want you to know that part of what we're going to be teaching and learning here today is to get over whatever it was that stopped you from doing that. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of embarrassing yourself, or whatever it is, that's just fear. And I'm going to tell you now, when you get over that, I mean, think about it. How many of you right now, type a 1 and stay with me on this, because this is interactive. What Josh said is absolutely true. We're not going to just be yak and telling you things and teaching you things. We're going to give you something to do so that you get the result and change your brain. Type a 1 if you agree with me that there's somebody else that you know of that you wish was on this call right now to listen to Josh and to listen to me. Yeah, look at that. Everybody look at it. And that's the truth. But here's the question. What is it that stopped you from doing it? Why did you not pick up the phone? Did you say in your mind, well, I'm going to see what these freaks are all about first? You know what? Oh, I better not do this because those people are going to think that I'm stupid, or they're going to think that I'm silly, or they think that I'm, getting taken for something or whatever. Whatever that went on in your brain, that's what stops most people. Most people. So we're about to put an end to it right now. So I'm going to turn it back to Josh here in a second, but I'm going to leave you with a couple things. By the way, we're going to go back and forth on a couple things, but I want you to be clear. Number 1, write it down. Write this down. What you write is what you invite. We're going to show you how to get that brain right so that you do the things, so that you step up and make stuff happen. Type a 1 if that's what you want as well. Because you right now are the chosen few. And who chose you? You. You chose to be on this call. You chose to do something about it. While the rest of the world is out there, I'll tell you what everybody else is doing. I'll tell you what 90% of the people are out there doing. They're doing this, okay? Scrolling on their phone or watching Netflix or watching something like that or doing whatever. Those of us that dare to dream. And so I want to get clear on something. Write this down. Write down what I said. Wealthy equals healthy, happy, financially abundant, so that you get that clear in your brain. Okay? This is Mindset Pro. Let's break that down. Here's what that means. Matter of fact, somebody type in, what is the difference between an amateur and a professional? Somebody type it in just so I can see. Interact with me, guys. Not you, Josh. You already know. Okay? Consistency, that's great. By the way, there's no wrong answers, okay? Discipline, no wrong answers. What else? Come on, stay with me. Your interaction, okay? Practice, great. All right? Yeah, somebody just said it right there. A pro gets paid. Write it down. That's what professional means. When you go from being an amateur, there's amateurs that are as good as professionals in whatever it is, but they don't get paid. And so around here, we call this the Mindset Pro. And what that means is we're going to show you and teach you how to get paid for getting your mind right. And I mean that. And I'll share with you. So you might be asking yourself, well, who is this guy? Who's he so special to be telling me what it is? Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm glad you asked. I say this with all my heart to you. And that is this. There was a time in my life when I was homeless. I didn't have anything, nothing at all. I lived in a cardboard box out in the middle of the desert. And what changed my life was somebody came along and gave me what's called personal development. They gave me a book, and the book was called Think and Grow Rich. I read the book. I learned what to do in that book, and it was called Think and Grow Rich. It was where I first started to learn how to change how I thought about myself, about other people, about business, about the world around you. And I became very, very successful in a very short amount of time. I became a millionaire before I was 30 years old. And this is a while back when $1 million was a lot of money. I'm kidding you, it's still a lot of money. But the reason I share that with you is the reason I'm here right now is because when I went to the guy that gave me the book to thank him, and I said, how do I repay you for what you've done for me? He told me, he goes, Joseph, You repay me by doing the same thing that I've done for you, for as many people as you possibly can for the rest of your life. And that's why I'm here with you right now. Type of one, if you are willing to take the gift and to partner with this amazing man, Josh, here's another guy. Here's a person that you know him, already, but you know him where his heart is in the same place. We're all about giving. Both of us are in the legacy stage of our careers and our lives. And legacy doesn't mean dead and gone. Legacy means when we're out of the picture, when you hang up from this call, or when we walk out of the room. And so what we want for you is so that you, like I said, dare to dream, dare to do something different. And we're going to teach you how to mitigate those fears and replace them with something that makes you thrive. And so when you do that, here's what's going to happen. You're going to show other people. And you don't have to show them doing what Josh and I are doing. We got this role. We're here to bring your people in because we're gonna take care of them. But you're gonna be the example. Remember what I said? We're gonna be the example for other people, so they can look at you and go, "Well, if that freak did it, I can do it as well." And so, type of one, if you're down for that, because the lessons that you're about to learn, most people never get to learn. Most people never get to learn. Most people sit and wish and want something. But here's an opportunity sitting right here in front of you. But if you don't take it, it's not going to happen. And so our outcome is to help you train your brain so you get paid. Train your brain. Mindset Pro, professional. And you're going to see that everybody that's successful, whether it's Josh, whether it's me, whether it's anybody that you can think of that's successful in whatever area, it's because they think differently. And if you know how to think and change your thoughts, then you are going to thrive. So type of one, I keep doing this because I want to test you guys. I want you to interact with us because I'm hardcore. Just so you know, I didn't say this, that I've had the privilege over the past several years of coaching Academy Award winning movie stars, Grammy winners, major sports figures, millionaires and billionaires and everything in between. That's what I do. I'm a coach. And so that's when Josh approached me and we sat down, we started looking at this and we thought, okay, well, what most people are missing is an opportunity to do something. But watch this, all of us, I don't care whatever your age is. If you're old enough to listen to this call, all of us have been around long enough to regret not having done something, to wish we would have done something and we didn't do it in the past. If you're older than like 30 years old, you go, I wish I would have invested in Tesla when it was $10 a stock. If you're older than that, I wish I would have invested in Apple when it was, $10 a stock. But you're thinking, okay, well, that was a long time ago. But watch this. 5 years ago, less than 5 years ago, there was a company, I wrote it down here, called GameStop. And GameStop came on and they made a play. And if you'd invested $500, you would have $1 million today. And matter of fact, you would have had it in a very short amount of time. And all of us wish we would have done it. Opportunities are all over the place, but if you don't take them, and if you don't do something with them, nothing's going to happen. So our outcome is to help you, to train you to become what I call an opportunity specialist. And that doesn't mean all the opportunities. Take one, get on that horse and ride it. And so I've been yakking for a long time. Josh, you said, listen, I'm going to turn it over to you, but I want this to be back and forth because this man has so much wisdom and so much experience in what he does and what he's done for so many other people. The guy literally makes millionaires. The guy literally shows people and guides people all the way through. But the best part about it is he brings opportunity with you as well. Process and strategy and a vehicle to do it. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Josh. I'm here. Holler at me, any way that you can.
Let's do it. Well, guys, I want everyone right now in the chat box to write, I lack absolutely nothing.
Love it.
I want everyone in the chat box right now to write, I lack absolutely nothing. There's this plague that has done something with the human that has turned what God said is just like me, powerful beyond measure, and a replica and made in my image and likeness. And there are so many people walking around the world today that have this false idea that they're nothing more than an accident, or they're just here and they're taking up space on this planet. And I want to start off 2026 where we really begin to get back to the foundation. Who are we? What are we created for? And what's our purpose? I think most people are miserable because they have not figured that situation out. A lot of people certainly have a money problem. A lot of people around the globe have a health problem. And beyond that, the majority of people, unfortunately, also have a mindset problem, which then attacks every other area of your life. Your mind is your superpower, and it is a strength. But here is the very same other side of this token. If you do not have your mind programmed correctly, it will actually play you and become your worst enemy. Someone put a 2 in the chat box if your mind has been a struggle at some point, or maybe you're here on this call with me right now and you're like, Josh, before I got on the call, I was struggling when it comes to what I was thinking about and just what I've been dealing with in my life. The next part that I want to add on top of that is every single person around the world has problems. You're not the only one. Someone put a yes in the chat box if you understand that. I hear people so often say, if I wasn't in this situation, I would be so much further. But the problem is that damn record has been on repeat for the last 5 to 10 years saying the same thing. If it would have been for this, I wouldn't be here. If they wouldn't have said that about me, I would be so much further. Just a moment ago, when you said, I lack absolutely nothing, I need you to understand that it's time to put to sleep every fear, every doubt, every word that's been spoken over you that's not true. And the question is, when it comes to you, what is the basis of truth? I would like all of you to write this down. I would like all of you to write this down because this is something that absolutely transformed my life. What is the basis of truth? Here's something that most people don't know. It's what God has spoken to be true about you. Someone put a 1 in the chat box if you're willing to accept and willing to actually see yourself in the same light as the very one that created you. Before you were born, you were known, you were loved, and there was a plan for your life to have an abundant life, not a life of struggle and poverty and anxiety and depression. None of us were made for that. I want to be very clear. We were created for abundance. We were created for pleasure. We were created for joy and all of the things that are robbing us of that. Who agrees that if we do nothing to change it, we're going to stay in the same place? See, what excites me is that we have a community of people, not that's just making money. And some of you are about to make more money than you've ever made in your life by multiple times. And you may be wondering, Josh, why is that? Is that just because the opportunity is better? Well, 1, that is true. Okay. But number 2, it's because you actually realize how much greater you are than the confined thoughts that's been holding you back. I want everyone to understand this. There is no walls and limits that exist other than the ones that you construct. Put a 1 if you've constructed a house that's kept you in a life of being limited. I had somebody message me the other day. Man, you had a Ferrari? I could never afford something like that. Someone put a 2 in the chat box if you agree that that is an absolute terrible way to start with the mindset of success. They see an object that looks expensive, okay? And automatically the first assumption is, man, I could never afford something like that. I'm going to tell you why you feel that way. A little beautiful girl's running around, so if you see her, just say, hey, and she's going to keep it rolling. But I want to tell you why you feel that way. It's because you have been trading your life, your time for money. So the idea that you can work enough hours in a day, you can work enough hours in a year to be able to have the type of funds to actually go buy the things that seem unaffordable, who understands you just got to figure out the money problem? And I want you to say this. I talked to Joseph about this when we did an event together out in LA. I said, you know, something happens when people realize there is no glory in poverty. I grew up in a very holy, spiritual family, right? On one side, if you did anything wrong, right, you need to check yourself immediately. There's just all these things just always happening. But yet money seemed to be something we never had. And at a very young age, I realized in life, I don't want to live like that. I love my dad with all of my heart. He's involved with everything that we're doing here. He's actually the mission director of my company. But I want you to see something here. I never learned money from him. What I learned from him was that if I don't have money, I'm going to end up living like that. And respectfully said, I'm not here to live poor. I went to ministry school right out of high school. And funny enough, I told my family this. I'm like, look, if God needs me to be poor to serve him, I'm out. I'm not being poor. I'm out. It doesn't make sense to me. But then you actually see in John 10:10, I've come to give you life and life more abundantly. Understand that money is not pulled out of that equation. Who's ever heard that money is the root of all evil? Put a 1 in the chat box. If you've heard this saying, money is the root of all evil, then why do you spend all of your time trying to get it? First question. But let's actually go back to what it says. It does not say money is the root of all evil. It says it's the love of money. The love of money is when greed enters the picture. The love of money is when you will do more and anything to get money, regardless if it hurts, harms, or does something that's bad to another person. When you will steal, who agrees poverty creates a lot of crime and a lot of issues? I say it all the time. People that are struggling, what else are they going to do? Just die? No, like we live in a world today that I want you to understand people are closer to being homeless than they ever imagined right now. When you go and look at the debt from home mortgages, from cars being repossessed right now, from how many people, college, all of these major industries, credit cards, let's get into that. All of these major functions in our society, people are far behind on. So what we want to do here on this mindset call is not just train your mind to think right, which is the very key thing. We want to actually give you opportunities. So in the practice of that thinking, you can actually get results that lead to the life that you want to have. Money is nothing more than a tool. Put a 1 in the chat box if you understand this. Money is a tool. What house do you want to build in your life? Because here is the truth. You are the architect for the life that you live. And if you want to spend the rest of your life blaming someone else for why you didn't architect your house in the most beautiful way, it's your deadgum fault you are where you are. They're living their life. They're probably not really even thinking about you. And you have this replay going on in your head. So what I want to encourage you to do is to silence those voices, because those voices were never true. And one of the big things that I always ask is, God, what do you say about me? Who am I? And what I know is from the very beginning of time, we were created in the image and the likeness of the divine. And we were created to subdue and run this world in a beautiful way. And for far too long, many of us have been living on the other side, not success, not wealth. We've been living on the flip side, which is struggle, not enough, and need more. Put a yes in the chat box if you're ready to move into the land of abundance. This is a moment that you will have the ability to do more in a shorter amount of time than it has taken you years and years and years of your life. Time can work in your favor if you figure out the problem of money. Who understands that? Because instead of waking up and saying, I have to go to this job, instead of waking up and saying, I have to do this, you can start laying out the life that you want to live. If you're the architect, you can say, hey, I can keep doing what I'm doing, or I might want to listen to these guys. They might know something, because there's been a lot of results and a lot of proof that has come from it for a long time, right? I've been in this space over a decade, speaking all around the world, from ministry, from business, teaching people how to live better, how to be better. And this is something that I posted before the call. Better thinking plus better action leads to better results. Initially, when I wrote that out, I said right thinking plus right action leads to right results. But I want to change that, because I don't want to say that what you're doing is right or wrong. I want to move away from kind of that theory of language. It's not that it's right or wrong. The question is, what is better and best for you? Were you created for lack, or were you created for abundance? And the way that you think, if you upgrade that and think better, who agrees that thoughts are proven by action, not just pondering? Someone put a 1 in the chat box if you understand that. The validity of a belief is found in the follow-up and action that follows that belief. You can't go and say, I need to make more money, but do nothing to make more money and then wonder why you don't have more money. You don't believe it. You just fantasize about it. And fantasy is not reality. Someone put a 2 in the chat box if you understand that. It's time we stop fantasizing about success. One of the biggest things that we can teach you here tonight is that success is actually pretty simple. The difference between what you do on a daily basis and what every other human being does probably is not that much different, but there is definitely things that determine and dictate what you do that then brings about the results that you have. So Joseph, you talk about the toxic 10 all the time. And I think that's one of the most important things that people can really begin to grasp. What is the root things that are keeping them from the life that they dream of? So if you have never heard Joseph's toxic 10, I want you to put a 10 in the chat box. And what he's going to do is walk through the toxic 10, but I want you to pay close attention to the parts in your life that are being affected by this. And the good news is you actually have the ability to change the things that are infecting you. And you can go from dealing with these problems that have come from this thought process to actually healing and changing the results by simply changing what you think and what you do. So Joseph, let's talk about the toxic 10.
Absolutely. And so first off with everybody, Josh, that was absolutely brilliant. And I'm taking notes as we go along as well. And so everybody, I'm going to kind of walk up to that. And I'm going to tell you what the toxic 10 are, but I want you to understand something. That what we're doing right now with you, I'm looking at the numbers. They're still the same. You know, Zoom calls are notorious for dropping off. People get started and then they drop off. You know, you watch it drop off, but there's more people on now than there were that started. And the reason I'm saying that is because what we're doing right now, there's a process called neuroencoding. You see it down there in the corner up there. Yeah. Neuroencoding. And what that means is that our nervous system is what makes us do what we do. And neuroencoding means to program yourself so that you automatically default or do what you want to do, should do, could do to get the results. And so the process of doing that is neuroscience. I'm not going to get too deep into the woods, but I want you to understand this, that what we're doing now, even talking to you in the way that we are, is changing how you think as it is. You don't have to understand everything. Matter of fact, think about this. The honeybee that flies around from flower to flower. Do you think he's going, I'm collecting pollen so that I can pollinate these flowers? No, he's just going and getting honey. He's just going and getting nectar from the trees. He doesn't know that he's pollinating them. And so even what we're doing right here, you might not understand it. You might not get it. And one of the reason I say that is because when I ask you to do something, or Josh asks you to do something like type a 1 or type a yes, or so on and so forth, when you start doing that, that's the first inroads into your brain of going, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. So you get trained to do that. Now, having said that, remember what I said before, all of us, I use the example right now. There's 104 people on this call right now. There could have been 1,000. There could have been 1,000. And all it took was for you to call other people and say, hey, I don't even know what this call is about, but I want you to be on it. But most of us didn't do it. And the reason we didn't, there's only 10 things that stop us in our lives when you know you should do. Matter of fact, type a 1, if you've ever said to yourself, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow, or I'm going to write my book tomorrow, or I'm going to, do this tomorrow, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Yeah. And the reason you didn't do it is one or all of these 10 things. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and the reason I said all of that stuff, is I want you to interact fully right now, because awareness is always the first step. Meaning if you're not aware of it, then you can't change it. If you're not aware of it, then have you ever cut yourself, but you didn't even notice you cut yourself, and you look there and you're bleeding, and then now when you look at it, it hurts? Yeah, all of us. And that's the same way with our thinking and so on and so forth. So once you recognize what it is, you can never go back to the same way. So I'm going to go through what I call the toxic 10. And these are the 10 things that stop us. They're the thieves of your dreams. They always have been, and they always will be unless you do something about it. And so I'm going to go through them. And as I go through, when I get to one of them that makes you go, that's me. Yep. I could use some work on that. Oh yeah, that's cost me in the past. Type of 1, okay? So here we go. Remember, when I get to 1, as soon as I say it, if you go, oh, that's me, yes, I need help on that. Type of 1. Here we go. Procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, stress, overwhelm, and fear of rejection. Yeah. If you're not typing a 1, you lie about other stuff, or you're not willing to play full out. And this is key, ladies and gentlemen. All of those things, that is the human condition. And understand this, they're all fear-based. The number one is procrastination. The number 10 is fear of rejection. And those two things, I would venture to agree and see if, see if you agree with me that those are the reasons why you didn't call up the people that you were going to go into. And I'm only using that as an example, but it's the same thing for your diet, the same thing for you making money, the same thing for you doing anything at all. Anything that made you do those toxic 10, you were thinking them. But watch this. Here's the great part. You do those toxic 10 because you have been programmed to believe that. You've been programmed to do things that way. It wasn't your fault. Some of us, it happened when we were babies, when we were little. Some of it happens every day because of this thing right here. Some of it happens because somebody said something about you, or they didn't say something about it. You didn't win this award, or whatever went on in your life. You are where you are right now. And so those 10 things that our outcome is to mitigate, meaning shrink them, because by the way, they're never going to go away. That's the bad news. The bad news is they're all fear, and they're never going to go away. They're there. God gave you those fears to protect you, to warn you, but he didn't give them to you to stop you. You see, you have this thing in your brain, and in your brain is designed to do. You have this, what is called your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. You don't have to understand all this stuff, but one is fight or flight, and one is to go get what you want. And so if you train yourself to, even when the scary stuff comes up, you go from being scared to going, oh, well, where's the opportunity? That's called optimistic. Pessimistic and optimistic. Optimistic doesn't mean every glass is half full and every cloud has a silver lining. Optimistic means options. Write this down. What you write is what you invite. There are no fearless people. Write it down. Somebody write it in the chat. There are no fearless people. But there are people who fear less. And here's what that means. Everybody's going to suffer from fear. Bad things are going to happen. They're happening all around you. When I say less, I don't mean the amount of fears. I mean the amount of time you spend in it. The amount of time that you allow yourself to be pessimistic and any of those toxic 10. And so what we're going to show you how to do is to snap out of them. I wrote these down. Here's what our outcome is, because Josh said these things, that these walls have been constructed around us to keep us into the toxic 10, to keep us where we are, to keep us believing those things about ourselves. So what we're going to show you how to do is to help deconstruct those walls. The other thing that he said is how to silence the voice that's going in. Type of 1, if you have what I call the internal voices from hell. You know what I mean. The ones that are criticizing you, the ones that are pessimistic, the ones that are telling you can't, the ones that are reminding you of your mistakes that you did. Well, we want to show you how to mitigate those. And I'm telling you now, it's a process. And then lastly, he said, okay, how to change your beliefs. And that is what it is, how to do that. But the first step is, which is I'm going to give you an assignment today. And then when we meet next week, we're going to take it to the next level. But you got to do this assignment and do not try and figure it out. Listen, I'm going to say that smallest, minute fraction of the human beings on the planet can explain to you and tell you how electricity works. But everybody can go over to the wall and hit the switch and get the result called light every time. And so our outcome is to show you how to get the switch. You don't have to understand everything, but how to get it. So I'm going to give you an assignment. And assignments, this one is going to be unbelievably simple. And there's two things that I want you, and I want you to write it down. Don't just type it in your iPad or your things, I want you to write it down. Writing is what you invite. You'll understand why that works a little bit later. Here's the first thing, first question. What do you want? Write it down. What do you want? And you can use these three areas in your health, your happiness, and your financial abundance. This is not goal setting. I want you to write it down. Somebody said write in blue ink on white paper. Yeah, you know what we're talking about. Okay. What do you want? Only you can make that decision. But while you're writing, I want you to notice what happens to you when you're writing, because that voice is going to show up. That voice is going to go up and show up. Well, I've never done it before, or this is a bunch of crap, or I've done this before, whatever. That conversation is what we're going to work on, because with that out of the way, what you want, what you write down, you see, our Creator has designed it so what you want, He will send it in your path. That's the way that it works. I'm here to tell you. Josh will say the same thing, but you got to get all of the stuff out of the way. So number one, I want you to write down what it is that you want. And there's no wrong answers. There's no, you don't have to be poetic about it. Just write it down. The next thing I want you to write, it's only two things. What stops you? Be honest with yourself. Write it down. Obviously, you know the toxic 10, but write down, I procrastinate too much, or I don't do this, or I'm afraid of this. Write it down. Get it out of your head and get it on paper. That's it. Because I'm going to show you what to do with it so that we can do those things. Tear down those walls, change our beliefs, and change how we think about things. We think about ourselves as well. And we're going to make that happen. Okay. And as I said before, silence those voices. Your assignment is really, really simple. And every little assignment that we do is a building block, and do that to help you change how you think. Now, next week when I see you, I'm going to tell you what thinking is and what that means. But right now, type of one, if you're willing to do that simple exercise, write down what you want and observe yourself as you do it. And then number two, write down what stops you. That's it. That's all we want you to do. This is a process that we're going to go through. I didn't share this with you. By profession, I'm a psychologist. I'm a neuropsychologist. I help people get over fears and phobias and emotional challenges that hinder their lives. I had a practice in Los Angeles for many, many years, and I've helped thousands and thousands of people do that. But let me tell you something. You probably figured this out already. I'm a bit unorthodox in the way that I do things. I get results. It is the reason why, like I said, all the people that I coach, they flock. I don't take them on anymore. I got too many of them. They flock at my door because they want to be coached. But I'll give you an example. If you have a fear of dogs and you come into my office, take a guess what's going to be in my office. Type it in the chat. Yeah, there's going to be a dog. And within a short amount of time, you're going to be holding that dog and you're going to be fine with it. And so your dog in your life right now is what you write on that piece of paper. So write it down, and I'm going to turn it back to Josh, and then I'm going to see you next week. I'll still be here, but next week we're going to start in. Type of one if you're ready and you're anxious and you're excited to start in. And then lastly, I'm going to say this, is that this opportunity that's sitting in front of you right now, it is your Tesla stock, your Apple stock, it is your GameStop, it is that right now. It's the reason I'm here right now. Josh wants you to see you successful beyond your wildest dreams. And the fact that you showed up on this call says so much more about you than you know. So Josh, let's take this thing home.
Let's do it. So guys, I want to read something to you really quickly. Who's gotten something out of this so far, whether it was Dr. Joseph and I, or obviously the both of us? There is such a powerful thing that's happening here. It's amazing. I'm not a scientist. While I have studied psychology, I certainly don't claim to be a psychologist, right? But in the world of entrepreneurship, in the world of spirituality, I do say in that world that I am an expert. And what I love about what Dr. Joseph and I are doing is we're bringing power together in a way that is oftentimes not communicated, right? Who agrees sometimes you need to see, or all the time, the full story, not just parts of it? That's where a lot of people miss the boat, all right? I recently wrote brand new, The Great Reset. It's out on Amazon right now. Dr. Joseph wrote the forward for it. So thank you for that. And, hearing your feedback was such a special thing for me, because it wasn't that I just cared that you wrote the forward. I genuinely was excited to see what you saw in it and how it spoke to you. But I want to read something to you guys really quickly from this book. This is an absolute game changer. I'll post it in the chats later so you can go and get it. Every person that has read this book has messaged me and said their life has gotten better almost immediately. Things in their life started to become aligned and they started seeing results like never before. All right? Amazing. I want you to hear this. This is why most people live in cycles. They pray for change, but think in patterns. They dream of freedom, but act from improper programming. This is really the theme of what we've been talking about here tonight. And I really want you to hear this. So oftentimes, we're praying for things to be different in our life. Whether it's money, whether it's our health, whether it's relationships, every dynamic of your life, how often do we pray for something to change, but we don't see that change? I'm going to tell you why. You have a programming that you're currently existing within. And unless you reprogram that program, or as I called it, you have the great reset, where we go and we don't any longer accept what society says. We no longer accept the construction and the architecture that someone else said for our life, but we go back to the very beginning and we remember the truth of what God said about us. All right. When you read this book, I promise you, this thing is going to shift your mind in a way that's going to give you the ability to see things that have already been inside of you. You just have not had clarity about it. All right. Your reset starts right now. You can either choose to accept and stay living on the path that you're on, or you can realize there's a better way, there's a better path, and you don't have to go back to that false programming. You can actually reprogram that. And like Joseph said, that now your default settings become things that are favorable for you. Your default settings lead you to do what you need to do so you can have the results, the income, whatever it is that you desire to have. Okay? Every person that I see reading this book, and I'm putting it in the chat box right now, this is not because I want to sell my book. Every person that has taken the time to go through it, immediately things begin to shift in their life. And what Dr. Joseph and I are doing here on these calls, listen, we do not want you to just come to these calls, get fired up. Yes, the DJ is amazing. Yes, what we're sharing is amazing. Yes, the opportunity is probably the best opportunity you could be a part of through the different things that we have going on in our community. But what's most important to us is that you actually begin to realize how significant you are. Whether you have never made $20,000 a year, or whether you've never made that a month, you name it, whatever you say that would put you in that next area of your life, I want you to understand, if you first do not believe that you're worth it, you will never get it. Or if you're lucky enough to win the lottery, you'll do what most every single one of them does. You'll get it. 6 months later, it's all gone. How can you spend $500 million? Give it to a broke person that has a bad mindset, never managed money, and doesn't know what to do. And boom, it's gone again. So what we all need to do is take a moment to realize we were made for abundance. I want you to say this out loud. You can write it in the chat box. I am more powerful than I believe I am. Because here's the crazy part. No matter how big this world is when it comes to how you see yourself, it's still greater. About 10 years ago, I was preaching. And in this church, this person came over to me and he said, the way that you share the love of God, like you're just making it seem too big. I said, brother, on my greatest day, with my greatest imagination of how good God is and the depths of his love, we are just beginning to scratch the surface. And the same is true about you. You have not been created just because your parents slept together. All right? Someone said, show the book again. The Great Reset. I put it in the chat. There was a purpose for your life. And maybe you've not been living in that purpose. And at this point, you're like, I just don't feel like I'm that significant. Let me tell you a secret. What you do in your life does not determine your significance. When you realize how significant you are, you change what you do. This whole thing is actually opposite when you really think about how life works compared to the way that we said it was supposed to, right? Who knows those people that like microwave money? right? When I have the house, I'll be happy. When I have the car, I'll be living in my destiny. I'll have everything I want, then I will be. No, the reality of it is you already are. And until you realize that you are, you will never step into the world of what you are actually destined and created for, because this is the truth. You do not get in life what you deserve. If you did, you wouldn't have a struggle barely in your life. I can't say that you wouldn't, because you actually see the divine path. There is definitely struggles on the way that teach character and help all of us grow, right? If you never worked out, your muscles would never grow. There's a reality of pressure on the human being and what it does to us. Like Joseph said, there's a part of your brain that when pressure hits, it says, flight, get out. But then there's that other part that when pressure hits, and you remember, pressure is what creates diamonds. Pressure and resistance is what creates more power, so I can break through whatever's going on. I was speaking to a couple people in our team earlier this week, and they were talking about just how difficult their situation is right now, what they're going through. I said, do you understand you can't talk about breakthrough unless you actually broke through something? We always say we want breakthrough in our life, but then we get timid when pressure comes. You got to understand that pressure is actually fuel for what you need to go where you need to go. All right? This is a very special moment in time for every single one of us. If you will realize who you are, how powerful you are, then you'll change what you're doing on a daily basis, which will then change what you have at the end of the day. And oftentimes, and we're going to kind of move this into the next section here in just a second, I have a special surprise for all of you tonight. And I'm going to talk to you about some serious money. Someone put a $sign in the chat box if you're ready to step into the land of abundance. The first thing that I want to make very clear, if you're scared of making money, we're going to get rid of that right now. If you don't think that you're deserving of making a buttload of money, we're going to get rid of that thinking right now. Someone put a 2 in the chat box if you're ready to be programmed and be set up the way that you were created for. That income is something that becomes abundant, not a stressful situation every month. All right. I'll tell you guys, I have never been so excited about what we're doing here in our Freedom Pro community. When Dr. Joseph and I made the commitment to show up every single week for you, I truly want you to hear this from the bottom of my heart, and I know his as well. We're not doing this because we want to hear our voice and we just like being on Zoom calls. There's a lot of other stuff that we could be doing right now that makes us money, that is a necessity to take care of with our businesses, our lives, our families. But there's a reality that when you care about people so much, I want everyone to write this in the chat box, you show up. And before maybe you have a whole bunch of people show up around you, you got to show up for you. We've all been blessed with the ability to make a decision. And a decision is what changes things. It's not the truth alone that is powerful. It's the truth applied that is powerful. Truth is truth. And it's going to be true regardless if you like it, you don't, or you don't believe it. The truth is truth. And what I know that is true for all of you is you are not made for lack. You told me earlier, I lack absolutely nothing. So if your bank account does not look like your belief account, who agrees that we need to raise them both up? Some of you think you're believing enough right now. I want to let you know you're not. Every day I challenge myself. So many of you look up to me and think I'm the standard for some of these things, and I appreciate the compliments so much. But I want you to understand every day I wake up with the same situation that all of you do. The bank account may look different, but that's also because I'm up to 3, 4, 5 in the morning and I'm already a millionaire. I want you to hear me right now. Someone say, show up in the chat box. 50%, Joseph said it greatly, 50% of winning in this game is showing up for yourself when no one else does. Because what I will say is if you don't show up for you, why would anybody else show up? Because you are not evidence of what you're saying. If you don't believe it, how do you expect someone else to believe it? I've heard some people say, I'm talking to all these people, but they just don't seem interested. My first question is, what the hell are you telling them? We're going to train on the best way to communicate and approach with people, right? And how to share things with people. But what I want to do here tonight, we just finished up our Mindset Pro class. Dr. Joseph, you're welcome to stay as long as you want, or if you have things to do as well. There's some big things that we're about to talk about. But Joseph, anything else that you want to share?
I do, and thank you for that. And I do. I've got another Zoom call to be on coming after this. Yeah. But here, first off, I want to say to everybody, thank you. Thank you for the gift of your time, the gift of your trust, and the gift of your willingness to not just do more for yourself, but I know that is our calling in life, is to help other people as well and to make a difference in their life as well. So I honor you, and I whatever I have in terms of the wisdom and the knowledge that my mentors have taught me. I always say to people, if you don't have belief in yourself, borrow mine for a while. Okay. And that's what Josh and I are here, is to help you recognize, because I'm sure you can listen to this man, you can look at this man, and you can go, this man has a level of faith, this man has a level of confidence and certainty, and a level of passion, compassion, and caring. And wherever yours is right now, he already said it. He ain't special. He's just like everybody else. My mom used to always go, you're special, just like everybody else. And the one thing that we're saying up front to you right now is that wherever you are right now, this is where you start. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Next best time is right now. So the last thing I want to leave with you is this. First off, do your exercise, because I promise you we're going to stack it and stack it. And before you know it, you're going to realize you're a different person. Remember this, life is always exactly what you dare to make it. And fortune favors the bold. And so the trick is to, as often as you can, boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent, even if it is doing something as simple as writing something down. I love you. God bless you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Josh, thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next call.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph. Guys, give it up in the chat box. This man is amazing. He has a heart of gold. And if you pay attention to the things that he shares that I'm sharing with you, I promise you, if you do them, you will see results in your life. He asked you to do something. Number one, write down, what do you want? All right. Let's go back to the practice, because I feel like some of you have forgotten it already. You got so enwrapped in what was being said. All right. See you, sir. All right. Number one, what do you want? Number two, what is stopping you? All right. And say that in your own context. What do I want? What is stopping me? Now, what I want to do is I'm going to take the moment to do something that I never do. Someone put a 1 in the chat box if you're open and you're excited about me being more vulnerable and transparent than I have ever been on a public call. There's something in me that recognizes this is a moment in time. What we're having happen in society right now is the line is being put right down the middle of humanity. There are those that have, and there will be those that have not. Someone put a 1 in the chat box if you want to be a part of the haves. The part that has abundance in it. The part that has destiny in it. You choose where you land. I want to be very clear. But there has been a line drawn down the middle. There are those that have, and there are those that have not. Like Joseph said, while all this turmoil and all this craziness is happening around the world, I actually believe we're living in the greatest day we could possibly be living in. Because where there is great, dare I say, disaster or lots of pressure, someone put a 2 in the chat box, you understand that's the greatest opportunity for something miraculous to happen. Because I know that in those situations, God's working all things for my benefit, for my favor. And he's going to turn all of this into good. And where there seems to be darkness, where there seems to be lack, I know that there is no lack in the kingdom. And I know that he is light and he is love and he is ready to absolutely penetrate any situation that is not working in our favor. But here's the reality. We need to get in alignment with that truth. So this is what I want to share with you here tonight. This will not go on the recording. Everyone's going to get the first part. So those of you that are here tonight, I may take pieces of this and make it available in a separate video, but you're getting something special because you showed up here today.